Hey everybody, welcome back to yet another installment at your brass instructor, TrumpetSizzle.com, Kurt Thompson. And as many of you that may or may not know, all you have to do is watch a couple of videos on my channel and you'll know that I'm starting to dibbling and dabbling in the jazz. It's the last frontier for me. Haven't really done much jazz, total jazz free improvisation in my life. And you might say, Kurt, how could that be possible? Why didn't you do that? Well, let me give you an easy example. I show up on a gig, and once people hear me play, I play lead. That's just how it goes. That's what it was when I was younger. After my name got out, all of a sudden they would only have me come in and play lead, or they would only call me if their lead player wasn't there, or I would only take over a lead chair because I could do it. The second thing is, I got very, very good at sight reading. Many of you don't know, but I used to be a session player where I primarily made a good portion of my income going into studios and recording jingles, recording songs and little clips for other people's groups. When I was in Nashville, I got called to go to so many home studios where people were putting together these little different projects, and they need a little trumpet here, a little trumpet there, and uh, and then I also did that quite a bit up in Seattle, in Cincinnati. Not much in LA, because by that time I was doing a lot more teaching. So what happens to a guy like that that's constantly being called to come in and play and execute? You end up using these more than these. So you have to be an expert sight reader, you have to be an expert player, you have to be on the money. As a result, between those two things, and then also the classical stuff, that I've done before, like when I would do Easter services or Christmas, um, I primarily focused on those because that's what I did. That's what I got called for. And eventually, when I got into doing the a lot of Maynard stuff, especially after Maynard passed away. But keep in mind, I started doing Maynard when I was 20. It was my first time that I did Maynard. I started getting pretty good at doing that kind of stuff too. So all that said, I got good at just about every aspect of playing trumpet except for the pure jazz improv. I could show up for some rich person's wedding reception in Seattle, get paid a few $100s to do that, and they would never have me play the second book because they wanted me to do what? They wanted me to play lead. So they wouldn't put me on second book, and the second book player didn't want to play lead all night for 4 hours. Well, you do 45 minutes on, 50 minutes off. You go get a little champagne, a little food there. You know how that goes at the wedding receptions. So yeah, I never really had the opportunity, and no one ever actually kicked me and pushed me and made me do that. So now, where I'm at now, I have the luxury of doing what I want, and when I want, and how I want it, and so I'm focusing on doing the jazz. I mean, it's for me, it's a challenge. I feel like I'm doing baby steps. I really am, and thank God it's not like lead trumpet and playing in the Maynard Ferguson style. It doesn't require that. Jazz is kind of straightforward to some degree. There's things that you can do to make yourself get better, and it's logical, as opposed to power lead trumpet playing and playing um, the most hardest of all music that a trumpet player could play, which would be the written high note solo. All that's very counterintuitive and very illogical, and that's why people can be 70 years of age and have a Claude Gordon book and everything else and a James Stamps, and they still have troubles and struggles playing high D's and E's. But the jazz is more straightforward, and I'm kind of getting into it, and I'm doing some of the things that probably you are too. If you're um, just getting your big toe in the deep end of the cold part of the swimming pool and getting it wet, and you're kind of dibbling dabbling like I am. And so I do plan to get better. I do plan to bring myself up to not only a professional level, but one of the best professional jazz trumpet players. It won't be hard to do. I got everything else. All I got to do is just bring in the jazz, and it's all going to be there. But that's easier said than done. So right now I'm doing some different things. And what I discovered is I'm trying to get what I'm hearing in my head out also through my voice, but also to my fingers. And so if I hear, in a fast jazz background with the rhythm section going, and I want to go, well, I hear that in my head, folks, but guess what's not coming out to my fingers? I hear, I hear that in my head. Well, that's in my head, but guess what? It's not making it to my freaking fingers. And that's where the jazz practice comes in. So I got the ideas, and I'm hearing some cool stuff in my head, and so I get on some of the more pro jazz trumpeter YouTube stuff, and they're also their website. And they're saying you need to take that lick and you need to walk it through every key. There you go, walk it through every key and get that down, and then do another lick. Well, I tried doing that. I was like, holy smokes, that's god awful hard. It's going to take me forever. So then I stumbled on. I was just kind of screwing around. I've done all kinds of different videos, and I try to put some little cartoon stuff on my videos just because I like it. People know it. Even old people know it. Kids know it. And so I thought, well, what if you took a simple look like Sesame Street? You know Sesame Street, right? I thought, okay, now that's not as hard as okay. So I thought, okay, what if we start simple? Because I'm not an advanced jazz improv dude. I will be and beyond. But right now, I'm just trying to get what's in my head. And I have a whole lot of music theory and a whole lot of this and that in my head. I'm trying to get out to my horn. But I haven't been practicing arpeggios and patterns and all the keys and scales and modes. I'm like a typical second chair player in a jazz band would have been doing, or in a combo situation. So I started thinking, what about a simple little, kids TV show like Sesame Street? And so I thought, okay, so you hear it in the key that was played in, which I believe it was in the key of F for trumpet. That'd be E flat. Well, and it might not even be in the key of F. I just pulled that out of my hat. I'd have to. Well, I think that's what it is, but it does. That's not what this is about. So I started thinking, well, wait a minute. To be a good jazzer, don't you have to be able to kind of ramble through that lick in some of the other keys? So I was like, okay, so if I started off on C on that one, well, what if we go up a fourth? Okay. What if you go up another fourth, right? It's called the circle of fourths, right? So how about what if you go up another fourth? How about another fourth? Now you're trying to. You already know how it sounds like. Bum, 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 bum. You already know that in your head, and now you're taking something pretty simple and getting it out to your fingers, to your horn, because you already know what it's going to sound like. So if we go up the other fourth, well, the other one, no, I already did that one. So now we go continue. Right now, what if we go to? Oh my goodness. And you keep going around the fourth, and what I found, folks, is that it really made me think, and it made me focus more on what was going to happen here at my fingers and the valves. I knew in here what it sounded like, and I knew how to play it on the original key. starting on C. And when I started going around, I started going, wait a minute. I could see how this is going to help me with my jazz improvisation down the road. And so I've been dibbling and dabbling with the jazz. Of course, I've been going through the different modes, Ionian mode, the Dorian mode, and then the, what do you got? I don't know if it's Phrygian mode, the Lydian mode, the Mixolydian mode, and on and on. Aeolian mode and Locrian mode, then you're back to, I've been going through some of that stuff, and I've been doing the arpeggios, I've been doing some of the scales, and I've been looking at whole tone and half diminished scales and blues scales and pentatonic and all this kind of stuff. So what I found out is just big deal if you can, right? Well, I got that down, but when I heard the pattern and the lick come into my head, I couldn't get it out to my fingers exactly. I could do the scale part of it. So when I started taking something simple like Sesame Street and just going around the cycle of fourths, or you could just go up in half steps if you wanted to. You already know what it sounds like. It's just a matter of spitting that out and have your fingers automatically play it on the horn. So as I was going around, I thought, well, that still is a little bit complicated for me, jazz-wise. If I walked into a recording studio and somebody wanted me to play the whole Maynard Ferguson Sesame Street, even though I've heard it but I haven't played it, I could probably go in and sight read it almost perfect. If not, the second take, it's done. Send it off. But if you wanted me to improvise with that, that's a whole another kit and caboodle. So I wanted to make this even easier. So I was thinking, let's go to the easiest thing that we could probably think of, and I'm thinking like little baby nursery kind of things, Rockabye Baby, or stuff hot cross buns, Mary Had a Little Lamb, just little things like that. And I thought, well, how difficult would that be? And I found it was actually not easy, folks. Even if you took something like Mary Had a Little Lamb, which in most 5th and 6th grade band books for trumpet, it would actually be in the key of RC, concert B flat. It would start on RE. But something simple like Mary Had a Little Lamb, da 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 dum bum bum, right? So that's easy, right? But you know it in that key, right? You know. You know that. But what if you didn't know it in our key of F? Right? Going up a fourth, now you have to start on D, and that would be our key of B flat. So you're taking what you know here and it's translating out to here. Now you started on G. What's going to happen? Right? You go up another fourth, start on C. Okay? Go up another fourth, now we're on F. Okay? What's the next one, folks? If we go up another fourth. B flat? Ooh, that was actually a hard key and I wasn't even really paying attention. Oh, wait a minute. The real jazzers say there's no such thing as a hard key. Just a key that you're not so familiar with. So, but that particular key, what was that? That was F sharp or G flat? Okay, I was actually playing the key of F sharp. If we went up another fourth above that, D sharp, E flat. How about we'll go up still another fourth? Let's keep going around the circle. G sharp. Okay. Another fourth above that. Oh my goodness, where are we at? I'm getting dizzy. C sharp. Okay, what if we go another fourth above that? Now we're on B natural. Is that right? Yeah, we're on B natural. Are we done yet? I think we're almost done. Yeah, because now we come back to the E. So we made it all the way around through all 12 keys on what's called the circle of force. And of course, I'm speaking to I mean, the advanced player has already done all this stuff. And when I say the circle of force, they already know all about that. And they already know why. But I'm actually kind of talking to people who are more at my level that are just kind of getting into the jazz improv. So the reason that you would do the circle of force is because there is a tendency for jazz chords and a lot of chords in other music too to move in force. There's just a tendency for that to happen. So it doesn't hurt to do what I just did. So I hope that was very educational for you. This is a real jazz improv lesson. And I believe now what I just did for someone who's just started into jazz improvisation, what I just demonstrated would be very difficult, I believe, for you. And so I call myself a beginner, but when I say beginner, I'm comparing myself to someone like Arturo, Bobby Shue, Randy Brecker. Who else just does nothing but jazz? Wynton, Jon Faddis, James Morrison. I'm putting my level at a beginner compared to them because I do plan to be definitely at their level at some point in the future. It's not going to be tomorrow, and it's not going to be 5 years from now. But I'm the kind of person that when I put my nose to the grindstone and when I have an intention, it will happen because everything else in my life has happened when I've made this intention. But so I'm comparing my level to them, and I call myself a beginner compared to them when it comes to jazz improvisation. Everything else, if they want to, I'll take any of those guys on lead. And actually, I don't think those guys want to take me on doing a Maynard Ferguson solo. If they did, I'll be glad to, accommodate them. I don't think they want to do that. So, and we all know why. The written high note solo is the most difficult thing that you can do on this instrument because it has to be played the way it's written out. You don't get a chance to squeak-a-dabba-dabba-dabba-dabba when you can't play what's written. You play the written high note solo just like you're supposed to, and it's typically a chart that everybody knows. So you play it like you're supposed to, and if you fuck it up, everybody knows you couldn't play it right. So you can't ease your way out of it with a little bit of finger twist and a little bit of jazz. I mean, that's why the written high note trumpet solo is the most difficult endeavor and difficult music to play on this horn. So, but back to the jazz. Compare all those guys there. I don't feel that they're any better at the stuff I'm good at already right now. But when it comes to the jazz, the pure jazz, yeah, they're freak loads better than me, and I'm just a beginner compared to them when it comes to jazz improvisation. Just a little toddler compared to those guys I just mentioned. Can't do hardly any of the stuff they can do with the jazz improvisation. So, but that's only temporary, folks, because once I set my intention, it's going to happen. And so going back to what I just did, I said that was a beginning kind of thing, but if you actually are a beginner in the jazz, and you might find what I just did to be difficult and somewhat intermediate, or maybe a little bit more on the advanced side, because it's not easy. You think of a melody, and you think of a melody that you already know, and you put it through all the keys to the circle of force, and it starts to help get what you already know and you're hearing, transfer it to your hands, to your valves, and My guess is at the very end of this process, whether for me it's going to be 5 years or 10 years or more, or 12 or 15, there will become a time where this will be nothing but a reflex. Nothing but a reflex. I won't be thinking, okay, where am I at? C sharp, C sharp, A sharp, F sharp, da da da. I won't be thinking that. It'll be a knee-jerk reflex reaction where it will automatically come out when my ears hear the harmony and what we're supposed to be playing. That's down the road, but we got to start somewhere. So anyway, I'm Kurt Thompson. This was I'm going to actually probably label this a beginning to intermediate jazz improvisation tutorial, because some beginners at jazz improvisation might have found this just a little bit beyond beginner. I don't really consider this an advanced thing that I did today. Certainly, if you ask Wynton Marsalis to do it, Jon Faddis, Doc Severinsen, they would absolutely laugh because they probably did this decades and decades ago. Subscribe, click on my website link, and go on to the next video. It's lovely out here. Have a great day.